Hello, my name is John Reynolds. Welcome to Extraordinary Life Stories. On this episode, I'm talking with Andew Salter. Andew is the visionary founder of Dirtea, a groundbreaking brand that has revolutionised the perception of mushrooms in the wellness industry. I'm really looking forward to learning a lot more about all things mushrooms and talking with Andew. So let's get into it. Andew, thank you for joining me.
Pleasure.
Tell me, who is Andew Salter?
I guess you could call me the mushroom man. I'm an ambitious entrepreneur who wants to help people take their health into their hands and through the power of functional mushrooms, which are transformative if you know what to do with them.
Not many people can say that.
Yeah.
That's unique, right? Where did this all start? A young kind of Andew, the early influences in career decision making, where did that all begin?
So I've always had a serious passion for the world of building brands and entrepreneurship, and from the age of 15. And through that course in life, I've had a number of moments where health has become a huge part of my life in terms of being aware of it and how dangerous it can become if you don't understand it, you're not educated by it. And a number of them, if you want me to go into them now.
Yeah, I think it's probably relevant, right? Because it's directly affected what you've done and what you're doing to help so many other people as well, right? With their health. So
100%, yeah. So I mean, when I was in school, my first sort of experience when it came to health was I met a lady who gave us a talk about her son who developed testicular cancer at the age of 18. He was completely unaware of what was going on in his balls. Us guys, we don't like talking about health, particularly with the nether regions. He left it about a year before he did anything. Swelled up to 3 times its size. I think for a moment he was probably showing off that he had a massive testicle. But unfortunately it was cancer, and that unfortunately led to him losing his life. And although a devastating story, what really captured me is this lady explaining that actually if you catch this particular cancer that affects young men at an early stage, it's completely curable. And I think this was the first time in my life I was actually hearing that you can actually take control of your health just by being aware and taking early action, which essentially educated me about the power of prevention. And that led to my brother and I going on our first ambitious project, which was creating Feeling Nuts, which became one of the biggest social movements of our generation. 1 billion people got behind it, and we saved many lives because people understood that you have to check your balls regularly and take action if you find something irregular. Yeah,
what a sad story though, right? The fact that how old were you when you met this lady?
So I was probably around 16 at the time.
Right. So old enough to be thinking entrepreneurially, rather than sitting there going, you actually could do something about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the sort of the feeling nuts, and the way that went, I guess viral would be the word to describe that. That also gave you an early kind of insight, if you like, to the power of a community.
Exactly.
So you and Simon, your brother, creating something that actually you've got this almost like a tribe. Is that fair to say? Because it feels like you were almost ahead of the curve with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we realized from a young age is the power of social media. I think what Andy Warhol once said, everyone's going to get their 15 minutes of fame, and social media was the moment that became a reality. And I think when I was growing up, I was fascinated by stuff like Live Aid and these incredible platforms that used music and entertainment, or even comic relief, where that was that television moment. Everyone, got around the TV and the sofa, and they donated their money and their platform to generate, raising money. We saw social media that it wasn't about generating money, but it was actually creating awareness, right? So rather than someone wearing, I can't remember, it's the red nose, right?
Yeah.
Or the Live Strong band.
Yeah.
How can I actually carry a message through this video that could potentially get thousands of views? And back then we had social media platforms like Vine and YouTube. They were the biggest ones, right? Instagram was just entering. So we saw that there was an ability that if you could empower people with a message and the education, they could spread it far and wide and use their ability to entertain and engage an audience, right? And that's why we challenge people with, are you feeling nuts? And I think that was our initial learnings of how do you create community? How do you, create a cause and something that people want to get behind? And then how do you use the tool of both social media and entertainment to engage the masses?
And it's a real mission-led, feeling nuts, right? You were trying to prevent something tragic that happened, that you had that sort of lived experience of learning, and then realise it's a much bigger issue, which leads into you guys founding Dirtea. You delved into the world of mushroom and the well-being kind of supplements, if you like. Where did you get the vision from that, from feeling nuts to the transition to Dirtea?
Yeah, I think you've got to fast forward a few years now into where we became true entrepreneurs and had a lot of success. And I think through that process, we started to compromise our health, always putting business and lifestyle first, right? Whether that is, being out every night, networking, meeting people, traveling around the world, drinking copious amounts of caffeine and energy drinks just to stay awake and stay alert. And I think that really took a toll on us, but at a point where we could recognize it and take action. And I think we realized that a lot of our generation prior to the pandemic, I think the pandemic has been a real catalyst for people understanding their health and wanting to take action, is that, people wouldn't take action until there was chronic burnout or something that's seriously wrong.
Reaching crisis.
In crisis, exactly. And the typical thing is go see your doctor, get conventional medicine, and then deal with the side effects. And I think my brother and I were educated enough at the time to know that early signs of something potentially being wrong, feeling fatigued, feeling burnt out. So my brother and I do put my hats off to my brother, really started to research what are the ways that you can take control of your health, but using natural modalities and natural foods and natural herbs. So that began our journey of exploring everything from ice therapy to sauna therapy to the things we could consume. And that led to us meeting a Chinese doctor who introduced us to the concept of functional mushrooms.
I love that. It's proper entrepreneurial, right? And actually, I bet that was a fun part of the journey. Maybe you didn't even realise it at the time, right? That trial and error. And how many, I guess you'd call them failings, but to then find something that took you to what's become Dirtea and a super successful brand. Just quickly on that, what other things did you try that you thought might have been the next thing that then didn't become that?
Yeah, I mean, I think lots of supplementation, whether it's like Ayurvedic herbs or supplements or even like these all-in-one powders that typically don't have the full clinical dosages to actually get the benefit. I mean, there's lots of scams right in the health and wellness industry. And if you don't have the education, you don't have the knowledge, you're not going to get the efficacy and the benefit, and that means you're not going to get into the routine, you're not going to take it every day. And I think what stood out for us most when it came to functional mushrooms is that firstly, fungi have been around for hundreds of millions of years. Fungi were the first species to come from the ocean to the dry land. They have incredible research. They have, they're nutrient dense, right? They have more antioxidants than anything else on planet Earth. In terms of the science, it really does stack. And then when you know what's the right functional mushrooms, what's the right dosages, and what's the right brands after all, they're the ones serving it to the consumer, you start to realize the efficacy is mind-blowing.
This is fascinating.
Yeah.
And was that like a massive light bulb moment for you and Simon when you've trialed all these different things and you've now just gone, wow? Was it literally like, and not only that, but you now know you can harness this because of your pedigree, track record in brand building? That must have been really exciting.
It was, and the first night that we drank functional mushrooms, I was a little disappointed at first that they weren't magic mushrooms.
Waiting for the kind of whole feeling.
Yeah, exactly. That was my main motivation to go to this evening, actually.
At least you're honest.
Yeah. And functional mushrooms, they're not psychedelic. They contain active compounds that do incredible things. And the evening that we drank them, we were probably an hour walk away. And I remember walking home with my brother from this apartment where we drank them for the first time. And after about 10 minutes in that walk, I said, wow, I've never felt this much presence in my life. We were having this conversation. I said, there's never been a moment in my life where I feel like I'm entirely present. I can hear everything you're saying. I'm taking it on board. I'm processing everything. And I feel so calm, but yet so engaged. And it was such an amazing effect on my mindset at a time where I was experiencing things like brain fog. I felt a nice release of energy that wasn't like stimulants that you get from caffeine. I felt energized, but not like, sort of wired, right? And, jitters and things like that. And I was like, is it these these mushrooms? Are you feeling the same? My brother was too.
Was he feeling the same? Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So then you've got that whole unanimous thing. My God, this isn't just me. This is consistent.
Exactly. And over time we decided, let's give these things a go, and we drank them for weeks, which became months, and then suddenly we haven't looked back since, and that's 8 years.
Oh, wow, so you're way ahead of your time.
Yeah.
Is that consistent and constant feeling something that doesn't wear off? If you were to, let's use the Dirtea brand. If I'm starting my day with a matcha and I'm having lion's mane gummies, am I going to always feel that, or do you get used to it? And I suppose what I'm really asking is, do you kind of take these every day, or do you take them when you need them so that you feel the benefits? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
'Cause there's
100%.
certain things you take as a constant prop up, immune booster and so on. And then it might be that there's certain mushroom benefits to certain parts of your brand where I'm going to do a workout and I want to feel energized.
Yeah, no, it's such a good question. I think first and foremost, I always say to like our community, if you're buying Dirtea, you're making a commitment to your health, right? A commitment that you want to improve your health. And functional mushrooms, they offer just about anything that you require for day-to-day life. So whether that's like soothing stress and anxiety, if it's that you might suffer from ADHD or just struggle with focus, they help sharpen your mind. They're amazing for people that have issues with sleep. They are incredible for your immune system, your hormones, women who go through menopause. They're amazing for helping balance out your hormones such as estrogen. They even boost up your sex drive, right? They're great for your testosterone, so they're great for performance in the bed, but also they're great for performance, when you go to the gym. So ultimately, it's a whole ecosystem of things that really benefit the mind and the body. Now, it's when I say like if you're buying Dirtea, you're making a commitment to your health, it's because you'll see a gradual improvement day by day, week by week, month by month. And then I think you get into my stage where you're like 8 years in, and you probably don't notice a difference, but you just notice this is my normal way of being, right?
But a good way of being, right?
Yeah, like
you're glowing health, by the way. Like it's a whole aura and look, and you seem super relaxed, but also super present. And clearly, there's so much more to get out of you from this knowledge of all things mushrooms. But it's obviously working, right? Do you get the feedback from, over this 8-year period of forming the brand Dirtea, creating the products? Do you get feedback from your customers where they're like, "Wow"? Because when we first met, and then you kindly sent me some product, my wife instantly was like, "I know all about this. This is what I've been telling you about. I go to my friends' houses and they have this, and it's amazing. I come away feeling energized and more focused." And everyone's like, "Oh." And that's really close to me. That's my wife. Are you getting that feedback from your customers?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the main reason we do what we do, right? We have some crazy sort of ambitions for the brand, but the thing that makes it exciting every day, because I think when you are an entrepreneur and building a business, sometimes you need small things to just keep you going, right? And those small things is that, we're getting, hundreds of messages every single day, thousands a month, and they're incredible, like transformational. Some people are just like, I don't need to drink coffee anymore because I get enough energy from your functional mushrooms or your gummies.
Massive health benefit.
Yeah, a massive health benefit. Or it's the other end of the spectrum, which is like, my mother, has got serious depression, hasn't left her house in a year. She's taken your Dirtea cacao, which contains a mushroom called reishi, which is incredible for soothing stress and anxiety. And I met with her for dinner tonight at 180 The Strand, Soho House. So, or whether it's someone like my son has been struggling for ADHD for years. I can't get him to focus in school. I get called in by the teachers all the time. This is the first time I've been called in to say I've never seen him focus so hard because of your Dirtea lion's mane.
And is that quite an instant thing? Is that like they had the Dirtea product on the Monday and that's happened on the Wednesday? Or is it a gradual thing? Do you know what I mean? I'm just imagining watching or listening and being like, and managing expectations, right? So we live in an impatient world.
Yes.
So someone takes it on the Monday and it gets to Wednesday. Well, I don't feel any different. Is it a gradual build up, or is it a kind of pretty instant thing?
Yeah, great question. We're all different and we all respond to things in a different way. Functional mushrooms are adaptogens, which means they adapt to the body's natural stresses and they modulate things, they bring things into balance, they work with your body and your mind as well. So I'll give it to some people, like the Dirtea lion's mane gummies. was recently with a very famous footballer, and I gave it to him, and 30 minutes later he was like, "Oh my God, I'm so zoned in. I'm processing information like I never have before." And I'm like, well, that's a crazy response. Some people...
He's super fit, so maybe the way that sorry to interrupt you, but that whole fitness and how we look after ourselves, maybe that's more instantaneous than if you're perhaps overweight, not particularly looking after yourself, it takes longer.
Yeah, 100%. That's such a good point in terms of where you metabolize food, the way it assimilates with the body. I think that what I would say is it's a commitment, right? It's not an overnight sensation, and you will gradually see more and more improvement. Some people, it might take a few months, right? But I know this stuff works. That's why I do what I do, and the responses I get are amazing. So I'm like, if you're going to come into the Dirtea world, make sure it's a real commitment and you're doing it every day, because you will get the benefits, you will get the effects. There's enough dosages in each serving to receive the benefit, and I know it's transformative to anyone. So whether it's 20, 30 minutes like this footballer, or you don't see something for 3 months, I know it's going to benefit people. So never give up, believe in the messages we're selling. And yeah, I genuinely think if everyone was drinking mushrooms every day, the world would be a better place.
Yeah, well, you certainly, it's coming from you, from that way you're glowing and so on, sitting there, and the fact you're getting this feedback. So take me back to forming the brand.
Yeah.
Great name, Dirtea. And I love the fact it's Dirtea World. You've embraced that community, right? And it's almost like there's a world of mushrooms and learning the benefits of the different mushrooms, which becomes different flavors, if you like. And then there's the world, the community. And I know you just come back from New York with Simon and saw some awesome stuff on the socials and how well received it's been. But entrepreneurship's not easy.
Yeah.
And if you believe Instagram, and of course you put out the story of the success and so on.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting. As I was saying before, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 14, 15. And someone said to me the other day, it's like secret training for what your actual purpose is. I think Dirtea and functional mushrooms is my purpose in life. So I feel like I've had so many challenges, so many failures, horrible moments, really dark moments, funny moments as well, where there's been, barriers to succeed or setbacks. Sometimes it's like rolling something up a mountain and you think it's going really well, and then it rolls back down and you have to go to the bottom of the mountain. I've been through that so much. Yeah, I've been through that so much. I think that's given me the learnings of how to approach Dirtea and make sure that I'm preempting things that might happen or getting the strategy right. We've always been very strategic driven. We're not doing things on an impulse, right? We're very clear on what that end goal is, very clear on how we're going to get there. Not to say it's not completely smooth, but we got traction from the get-go, right? Partly because there's a real need, and I think the human conscious is open to receive natural ways, right, to help you function better.
And even just I can tell that your sweet spot, if we just talked about one thing, it would be almost an education to me on mushrooms.
Yes.
I could probably ask you 1,000 questions on mushrooms, and that would be this whole program. But that's underpinning this. And so that's your passion, that's the purpose, that's the mission, which is the health benefits.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm sure you'll probably agree with me, that's where the success, if you like, of the brand is underpinned from authenticity. I just said the word success.
Yeah.
Sitting here now, how do you define success?
How do I define success? I think I probably had a dream when I was younger, and that was to be the founder of a consumer brand that changes the world. I think we've changed a high proportion of London, not the world yet. And I think, hopefully in a few years, I'll be able to say I'm one of the founders of one of the biggest consumer brands in the world, and it's affecting the world in terms of health. That's success to me. I know there's the obvious things that come as part of that, things like financial freedom, the ability to see the world.
That comes with it though, right?
Yeah.
If you achieve the first goal, everything else comes with it.
And it's quite interesting as well, is because I actually was the best man at my best friend's wedding. And in that speech, we're super close, me, him, and my brother. And I was sort of reading this passage the day before the speech, and I added it to it. And the passage was about two people having a conversation, and one of the guys said, is it the journey or is it the destination? Which is always that question's asked, right? And it's actually neither. The person responded, it's neither. It's the company. And I think I don't know if anything we do that matters in life, but what really matters is the people we hitch ourselves to. And that's the thing that makes that indelible mark when we turn to dust.
I love that. And actually, let's bring Simon into this.
Yeah.
So you're in business with a family member you've grown up with. In the same way that some people go into business with their husband, their wife, their partner. How's that been? Because you clearly knew each other super well, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Have you always been aligned? Because I've been in your company together, and there's a love, there's a camaraderie, there's a shared mission. But is it easy being in business with your brother?
My brother and I have been best friends since I was a kid, right? And he's 6.5 years older than me. I think when you have siblings, older siblings, they have a choice to make. It's one or the other. One is like, you're too young to hang with me and my friends, go away. Or the other side of it is like, I'm going to be your mentor, come under my wing, and I'm going to show you the world. And my brother did that for me at an early age, which allowed me to grow up really quick and become super mature. And I think that was the catalyst for us to not just have a friendship and a brotherhood, but actually that formed our entrepreneurial business partnership. And we've been in that since I was 15. And I think what's really interesting is like that tightness is important because it's very difficult to find people you trust in this world. And we've been let down and been screwed over, and trust is everything, right? And we have that between us, and that's so powerful. He has my back, I have his back. It's fundamental, and I don't think I'll be here without it. I think as an entrepreneur, I think the two most important traits you have from the beginning is one is to be bold, to be brave, and also naivety. And we had both.
Superpower, right?
Superpower,
Yeah.
And I think
you've learned together.
We've learned together, and I think it's made us successful, and it's also got into us a lot of trouble, and we've got the stories to tell for it.
Yeah, but you've engineered your way out of it to be where you are now.
100%.
And actually, just on that, as a successful entrepreneur sitting here now, so much we read, listen to on podcasts is about getting up crazy early in the morning, doing a workout, reading a book, meditating before 9 o'clock. Where do you sit with that? Because you're clearly an epitome of health, and we can attribute some of that to the mushrooms.
Yeah.
But how are you keeping fit mentally, and how do you keep kind of yourself mentally fit as well as physically? Sorry.
So I definitely have an addictive personality, but I choose to channel that energy and addiction in the right places. So I live a very sort of simple life day to day. Work is the most important thing for me. Because like I say, what's success to me, it's having the biggest health and wellness brand in the world. And that takes a lot of dedication, takes a lot of hours in the day. But also what I learned and what led to this journey is health is actually more important than that. If you can't show up for yourself, you can't show up for your team, you can't show up for your brand. So I don't always get to the gym in the morning because I've had to work late, because maybe I've had a 2-hour lunch pitching someone for investment or as a partnership for the brand. And I know that I have to go and take that 2 hours and do that in the evening. So I've missed my gym session at night, or I'm up too late at night, so I can't get up in the morning. But what I do try to do is have this health routine in the morning. I get up, first thing I do is hydrate. I get the right salts into the body, Celtic salts or Himalayan salts. Electrolytes are really sort of important to me. I'll do some kind of a workout, whether that's going for a run or doing a weight session, and that sets me up for the day. And that's like my solid, committed routine that I try to do every day. I don't always get there, but I feel like if I do that, I feel like I'm ready to take on the day.
Yeah, I get that. And if someone was watching or listening now and had aspirations to be a successful entrepreneur, what advice would you give me? Because you've got maturity and perspective now. So you've got all these war stories, and using the analogy, the ball that goes up and then it comes crashing down, you've got to start again.
Yeah.
To a young Andrew, and ultimately to someone aspirational coming through, what advice would you give them?
I think firstly, you've got to be passionate, because entrepreneurship is like glamorized, right? Particularly on social media, people living the high life, and
the Insta versus reality is so different.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And also you feel like you've got this freedom because you don't have a boss, you can do what you want, but you're the last line of defense, right? And when you
can also be quite lonely, right?
Not for me, because I've got my brother.
I was just going to say that. But the entrepreneur doesn't always have that.
I know many people, particularly when they're starting out and they're on their own, right? And that's scary when you're making these ambitious, bold moves. But like passion's everything because I'm not allowed to swear. It gets very hard, but I feel like I want to swear. But it gets very hard and it gets tough and there are dark moments, right? And it is passion that creates the grit that gets you through those moments. So if you're not passionate and you're literally just following the money, then don't bother. The money will always follow you if you follow passion.
That's great advice.
Yeah, so that's like number one. I think the second thing is like research. Research the market, research the consumer every single day. If you don't know the market, you don't know the opportunity, you don't know what you're up against, you don't know what the risk factors are, you don't know what the opportunity is. You know, Dirtea is an innovative brand, it's pioneering the market, and loads of people have now copied us and they're following it. Maybe they're doing a worse version than us, but they're definitely in the marketplace, and you know, competition is healthy, right? But to be an innovator and to lead the market, you always have to be pioneering and you have to innovate. So we're constantly researching what's next and how we're going to get there. And then knowing your consumer is so important because that informs every decision. If you don't know or understand your consumer, you're not going to keep them, you're not going to get more of them. So I think like my two big things are passion, research.
I'm conscious of time,
yes.
But I wanted to ask you the most kind of random or interesting mushroom fact, because you clearly have got the whole encyclopedia there.
Yeah.
And something that's just really amazed you that would, you know, amaze people listening.
Yeah. Fungi were the first species to come from the ocean to the dry land hundreds of millions of years ago, right? They came to the dry land and in order to survive, they ate rock, right? Fungi have this unique ability to turn something from one matter into another matter. They turn this rock into soil. So without fungi, there'd be no such as soil and the earth, right? That enabled plant life to come to the earth 200 to 300 million years later. So without fungi, plant life wouldn't have made its way to the... Foundational. Fungi live most of their lives as fungi bodies, basically a mycelium network. Have you ever heard of a mycelium network? It's tubular cells, they're underground, they're beneath our feet. And to this day, 80% of all plant life live in symbiosis with fungi. They communicate through the mycelium network. It's like an underground internet system, more intricate than our own. And they actually communicate. They actually speak that we've just discovered 80 words that are close to the English language. For example, one tree can talk to another tree within this mycelium network. It could say to another tree, I need more hydration. That tree will then send hydration water through the network to that tree, so it's hydrated.
You're in your element now.
I am.
This is fascinating.
Fungi are way more abundant than most kingdoms. To put that in perspective, to every plant there are 8 species of fungi. So they outweigh plants 8 to 1. And you are more closely linked to fungi than you are to plants. You share up to 54% DNA with fungi, which makes you half a mushroom.
I've learned something from you today. This is fascinating.
Yeah.
But are there fungi that are fatal and deadly to us? Because at some point, someone was trying all this to work it out, and you know, in the true sense of entrepreneurial side of things, you know, are there fungi out there that if you eat them, they'll kill you?
Every kingdom has species that will kill you, including the human kingdom.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like berries, poisonous berries, plant as well. You know, fungi have fungi that will heal you. They will take you on magical psychological journeys that they're currently exploring. And you know, there are poisonous fungi as well. The death cap, never eat the death cap, it will kill you. Death cap mushroom.
Hence the name.
Yeah, there are over 4 million species of fungi.
I've mentioned mushrooms a number of times. And you mentioned fungi.
Either, yeah.
Yeah. What's the difference for someone wanting to learn that?
So fungi is the kingdom. It's a kingdom of life. Fungi live most of their lives as fungi bodies or fungi bodies, which is the mycelium network, which I was talking about earlier. And mushrooms are the fruiting body of that fungi mycelium. And like an apple is to a tree, right? Mushrooms are to fungi. So they're the fruiting body, they're the bit that come out the ground. So mycelium is underground, mushrooms are above ground. They come up in mysterious shapes and sizes, and some of those are functional, right? They're the ones we deal with, which have these active compounds that when absorbed by the human body, they can help shape and change your health, body and mind.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And sustainability is a huge and very relevant topic right now. And I follow your socials, right?
Yeah.
There's a really cool clip I remember where you tell the story of a mushroom that can turn plastic, and I think turns it into water. Tell me more about that. And is that not something that could be scaled to help the environment?
So mushrooms, fungi have this unique ability to turn something from one matter to another. There's been many known cases where the oyster mushroom has been able to eat plastic and turn that plastic into water.
I mean, if you could do that on a mass scale, you're solving a huge problem. I'm not just the fact that that's even happened and is real is incredible, right?
Yeah. You should Google it. It's insane.
So the whole thing with fungi could be far more explored.
100%. Look, we are experts when it comes to the health of the humanity, but the health of the planet is like another world. But
that's in crisis right now.
Yeah.
Sustainability of the planet.
Yes.
You plug that in, I mean, I guess you can only do so much as an entrepreneur, but your knowledge is phenomenal. You've also been really pioneering in the kind of the celebrity and influencer marketing, which you haven't covered at all. And you've got Bear Grylls, you've got Benedict Cumberbatch that swear by it. They're not just kind of vested, literally. They are, Benedict's probably got 18-hour filming days, and he's looking for anything that's going to enhance his performance. Right? Bear Grylls is climbing a mountain right now, right? Or jumping out of a helicopter with you and Simon, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So he needs to be operating at the highest performance. Was that a deliberate part of your marketing to bring those guys in?
I've always known the power of cultural credibility. Ultimately, if you're going to take something that's going to improve your life, whether it's health, whether it's a piece of technology, it's always going to be recommendations for friends. But if you want to do that at scale, you need to deal with influential people who affect change and affect culture, and they set trends. We have a lot of A-listers and even royalty that we deliver product to every single month. We deliver to palaces, by the way. Do
you volunteer to do that? I'll do that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go knocking on the door. My brother actually used to go on swims with, that's how he actually met Bear Grylls, swims in the Serpentine Lake, because they're ice cold lakes, right? And in the winter, it's great for your body and your mind. And Bear fell in love with what we were doing and how we're transforming coffee with mushrooms. And he said, I want to be your partner in this. I want to take this to the world. I want to take it to families. He's huge in India. He's huge in Middle America. He's an amazing human being. He's inspirational. Everything you see is true. I'm so excited what we're going to be doing with him. It's all going to start next year.
Yeah, this is awesome. Well, I could talk to you for a lot longer, but I've learned so much from you. Thank you for making time to talk to me today.
Thanks for having me. A pleasure.
Cheers.
It's great.